I would like to start with our place in the market. ADP is the largest company in our sector with a 10% share of the market according to IBISWorld. We are also one of the few companies with a AAA credit rating, which stands as a testament to our permanence. What I'm trying to tell you is that we are rock solid and we aren't going anywhere. No matter the day or time, we will be there for you with our 24/7 support to help you with any task, big or small. Now, one of the problems that we decided your company had was in regards to filing and compliance. You talked about how your company actually got fined for compliance and filing issues last year, right?
That is correct.
And that cost you a few $1,000s. Was that easy to recoup from?
It was not. We actually thought we were going to have to lay off staff. Defaulting on our debt seemed likely as well. It was a nightmare.
The sad thing is that Uncle Sam is not very forgiving these days for small companies in America. I was actually working with a small medical device consultancy company called Indie Profab, and they went through a similar issue. Now, when I say this company is small, I mean there was a lead consultant who did all the administrative tasks while managing clients and 2 engineers. They used a third-party group to manage payroll and taxes and compliance, and apparently they made some kind of mistake and the company ended up owing another $17,000. I don't mean they owed that total. That was what they owed on top of what they had already paid because they were not compliant and filed incorrectly. The scary thing is that was just 3 people. If I remember correctly, you were dealing with 35 employees, which can compound your risk. Do you see what I'm saying?
My God, $17,000 for 3 employees?
You've got it. What's even worse is that that was the only compliance issue they got tagged with. As the company grows, the threat of litigation from employees, fines from auditors, and costs of tax mishaps increase. This is all complicated by the fact that tax and regulatory codes are long and ever-changing. Most larger companies have entire departments dedicated to this, but smaller companies have more difficulty with this task. That's where we come in. We have entire teams dedicated to understanding the federal, state, and local codes so that you don't end up running around with pulling your hair out. It's almost too much information for a small business, don't you agree?
Yeah, you're probably right. Obviously too much for us if we got fined last year. I didn't even think about the additional compliance problems either.
Sure. And then there is your current method of doing payroll. It seems that to me that your company spends an exorbitant amount of time doing payroll. You're sending it back and forth between locations, managers, and employees, so your records can probably easily be misconstrued. So finally, when you cut checks and send them home with your employees, discrepancies can cost you extra hours as you track down where things went wrong. This can also lead to higher attrition, which greatly impacts your bottom line. So how many labor hours a week would you say you spend on payroll, taxes, and compliance?
Let me see here. It's tough to say, but I'd have to say about 7 to 8 hours.
And your current turnover?
I would say we replace about 5 employees per year.
Okay, so let's say drop the amount of payroll you spend a week to 2 hours, and maybe you retain 1 employee more a year due to a decrease in payroll discrepancies. This would mean that you would save 364 labor hours a year. If you are paying that person about $15 an hour, this amounts to about $5,460. Additionally, the cost of replacing a mid-range employee is thought to average around $8,000. This leaves us with a total of over $13,000 in savings a year. But you also have to factor in that one of the big time busters is actually having to be in front of your computer at the office to do this. We actually have an app now that allows you to do payroll from anywhere. Do you have time for a quick demonstration of how it works?
Yes, of course.
Good. Now let me share my screen here real quick. It'll take me just a moment. Okay. And let me know when you can see my ADP run slide over here.
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect. So our ADP run app, we try to keep it very simple. When you come in, you're going to have your home screen, and then at the bottom, you're going to be able to access our payroll functions. You can come over to employees, and this is where you're going to be able to go into your employees, modify how much money they're being paid, modify their job title, and any other information you might need. You can come over to reports, and this is where you're going to check out your payroll liability, your payroll summary, your earnings record, and any other past reports you're going to need. And then finally, your human resources section. It's going to have your HR checkup, HR dictionary, tip of the week, and doc vault if you opt for that option. Now, I'm going to kind of show you how you're going to process payroll with this application. We're going to go back to payroll, and we're going to continue resuming this weekly payroll that we're filing. We're going to click on regular. It's going to make sure we have the right start and end date. We have the option for direct deposit, which a lot of our clients choose. And we're going to click on resume down here at the bottom. And it's going to take us over to our actual payroll. So as you can see here, we have a few types of payroll. We have Mr. Matthew up here, who's getting paid salary. Doesn't show as hours. Then some of our hourly employees is going to show the amount of hours they work. So let's say I actually pull this up and I'm checking over everything, and I realize that Karen actually only worked 30 hours this week. She had to go home for an emergency one day. So we can just click on her payment, change it to 30, and then it's going to update in real time when you come back. So that way you can go through here, make sure everything's correct. If you do have any issues, you can immediately correct it. And then once you're done with everything, you're just going to go ahead and preview. Now this is going to give you two options. You can either go ahead and resume and submit your payroll if you're very confident in your abilities, or you can calculate. Now we find this to be very important because when you do calculate, it's going to show you how much that's actually going to cost you. So this is the amount you actually need in your bank. I know that running a small business, sometimes it can be tough to make ends meet. So this can be important to make sure you never overdraft your account. As you may know, one of the most important things is your credit rating, and you don't want that to be tampered with. So once you're done with that, we're going to approve. It's going to go ahead and bring this up just in case you check it with you one more time, and approve payroll. Once I click this, it's all done. It's going to submit all this money from your bank account into all your employees' account in real time. And we are done. And take you back to the home screen. Now let me go ahead and stop my screen share here. So do you have any questions about the application?
Not really. It all looks really good. So let's talk about cost. How much does it cost?
So just to reiterate, the product entails everything we've discussed so far. We have the compliance and regulatory side, which is going to save you the time and frustration of chasing around the legislation and guard you against thousands of dollars in fines and unexpected payments. There's the ease of the app, which will decrease turnover, saving you attrition costs of around $8,000 per employee and more than $300 of labor hours a year. And the cost of your company is as follows. The calculation is pretty simple. There's a setup fee of $150 per company ID and a charge of $58.95 per pay period for just the payroll services, and an extra $20 per pay period for all of the HR functionality. With a roster of 31 to 40 employees, if we do the math, that is about 26 pay periods for the year, times the per payroll fee leaves us about $1,532 for basic payroll and $2,213 for the total package, including HR services. Is that clear?
Yes, it is clear.
Good. Now let's talk about the next steps.